a quiet corner of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of Earth's most powerful telescopes, an alien species known as the Varnock made a startling discovery. Their scout ships had been mapping uncharted star systems for decades, searching for resources and potential allies. But this time they found something unexpected: a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star teeming with life. The planet was called Earth by its inhabitants, though the Varnock had no way of knowing that yet. Kyle-Tor, the leader of the Varnock expedition, studied the data carefully. His ship's sensors revealed that Earth was home to millions of species, but one stood out above all others. These creatures, humans, were strange and unpredictable. They had built sprawling cities, developed complex languages, and created tools far beyond what their primitive biology suggested they were capable of. Yet, they were also deeply divided, waging wars against each other over land, power, and beliefs. Kyle-Tor found them fascinating but troubling. He sent a detailed report back to the Galactic Council, a coalition of advanced civilizations that governed interstellar affairs. The Galactic Council was not like anything humans could imagine. It operated from a massive space station floating near the center of the galaxy, where representatives from countless species gathered to discuss matters of cosmic importance. Among these representatives was Nathan Brooks, a human who had earned his place through years of hard work and determination. Nathan wasn't just any ambassador. He was proof that humanity could adapt and thrive even among beings far more advanced than themselves. Still, many council members viewed him, and by extension all humans, with skepticism. When Kyle-Tor's report arrived, it sparked heated debates. The document described humans as primitive but dangerously ambitious. Some council members, like Zira Lin of the aquatic Zytherians, took the warning seriously. "We've seen what happens when civilizations are underestimated," she said during a meeting. "They can grow rapidly and cause chaos if left unchecked." Others, however, dismissed the concerns entirely. Vorak, a representative of the insectoid, Krillith, waved off the idea of humans posing any real threat. "They have no faster-than-light travel, no unified government, and their technology is laughable compared to ours," he argued. "Why waste our time worrying about them?" Nathan listened intently, his fingers tapping nervously on the table in front of him. He understood why some council members felt this way. From their perspective, humanity did seem insignificant. But Nathan knew better. He had spent enough time observing his own species to recognize their potential. Humans were resourceful, resilient, and driven by an insatiable curiosity about the universe. If given the chance, they could rise to great heights or plunge the galaxy into chaos. "We can't afford to ignore them," Nathan finally spoke up, his voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "History has shown us that underestimating a species often leads to disaster. Just look at the Trilix or the Zyran Wars. Those civilizations started small too, but once they gained access to advanced technology, they became uncontrollable." Vorak rolled his multifaceted eyes. "Your comparisons are flawed. The Trilix and Zyrans were already spacefaring races when we encountered them. These humans are stuck on their own planet, fighting amongst themselves. Let them burn themselves out before they ever pose a threat to anyone else." Nathan clenched his jaw but kept his composure. Arguing further would only make him seem defensive. Instead, he proposed a compromise. "At the very least, let's send observers to study them more closely. We need to understand their capabilities and intentions before we decide how to proceed." The council deliberated for hours, weighing the pros and cons of Nathan's suggestion. In the end, they voted to take a passive approach. Earth would be classified as a low-priority system, monitored remotely but left alone unless circumstances changed drastically. Nathan left the chamber feeling frustrated but resolved. He knew the council's decision was short-sighted, but there was little he could do to change their minds. For now, humanity would remain largely invisible to the rest of the galaxy. Meanwhile, on Earth, few people suspected that their existence had just come to the attention of alien civilizations. Most humans went about their daily lives oblivious to the fact that they were being discussed light years away, but not everyone was unaware. Laura Dawson worked at a remote observatory in New Mexico, scanning the skies for signs of anything unusual. She had always been drawn to astronomy, captivated by the vastness of the universe and the possibility of finding life beyond Earth. Her colleagues often teased her for spending so much time staring at stars, but Laura didn't mind. To her, every signal, every flicker of light held the promise of discovery. One evening, while analyzing data from a recent observation session, Laura noticed something odd. A series of faint signals appeared to be emanating from deep space, unlike anything she had ever encountered before. At first, she thought it might be interference from Earth-based sources, but further analysis ruled that out. The signals were deliberate, patterns repeating at regular intervals, almost like a code. Excited and slightly nervous, Laura shared her findings with Ryan Murphy, another astronomer at the observatory. Ryan was skeptical at first, dismissing the signals as random noise. "You're probably reading too much into it," he said with a shrug. "It's just static." But Laura refused to give up. Over the next few weeks, she poured all her energy into decoding the mysterious transmission. Late nights turned into early mornings as she pieced together fragments of information, searching for meaning. Finally, after countless hours of effort, she uncovered something shocking. The signals weren't random at all. They contained a message, one intended for someone else entirely. The message was brief but chilling. Warning issued. Subject: Homo sapiens. Laura stared at the screen, her heart pounding. What did it mean? Who had sent it, and why were humans the subject of such a warning? She tried to share her discovery with her superiors, but they dismissed her claims as speculative. Without concrete evidence, her report was buried under layers of bureaucracy, never reaching the ears of those who needed to hear it. Frustrated but undeterred, Laura decided to dig deeper. She reached out to Nathan Brooks using covert channels, hoping to alert him to the danger looming over Earth. Though she didn't fully understand the implications of the message, one thing was clear: humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and ignorance might cost them dearly. As days turned into weeks, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Somewhere out there, forces were gathering, watching, and waiting. And unless someone acted soon, humanity might find itself facing threats it wasn't prepared to handle. The Galactic Council chambers buzzed with tension as representatives from across the galaxy gathered to discuss Earth once again. Kaltor's report had sparked a debate that refused to die down, even weeks after the initial discovery. Nathan Brooks sat quietly at the table, his mind racing. He knew the Council's decision to classify Earth as a low-priority system was a mistake, but convincing others of that fact was proving nearly impossible. Zira Len, the sleek and graceful representative of the aquatic Zetherians, was one of the few who shared Nathan's concerns. Her large, luminous eyes scanned the room as she addressed the assembly. "We cannot ignore the potential danger here," she said in her melodic voice. "This species may be primitive now, but their rapid technological advancement is alarming. If we do not act soon, they could become a threat to galactic stability." Vorak, the insectoid Krillith representative, clicked his mandibles in irritation. "Your fears are unfounded," he replied sharply. "These humans are nothing more than children playing with fire. They lack the resources, unity, or knowledge to pose any real danger. Why waste our time on them when there are far greater threats to address?" Nathan leaned forward, his hands resting firmly on the table. "With respect, Vorak, you're underestimating them," he said calmly but firmly. "Humans have proven time and again that they can adapt and overcome challenges beyond what seems possible. Their curiosity drives them to explore, to innovate, and to push boundaries. That makes them unpredictable and dangerous if provoked." Vorak let out a dismissive hiss. "Curiosity alone does not make a species worthy of our attention. Look at their history. They fight among themselves constantly, destroying their own environment in the process. How can such a divided and self-destructive race ever hope to achieve anything significant?" Nathan opened his mouth to respond, but another representative, a tall, bird-like being named Silra, interrupted. "Perhaps both sides have valid points," she suggested, her voice soft yet commanding. Instead of arguing endlessly, Why don't we send envoys to observe Earth firsthand? Let us gather more information before making a final judgment. The idea seemed reasonable enough, but it quickly met resistance. Many council members argued that sending envoys would be a waste of resources. Others worried about the risks of exposing humanity to advanced technology too soon. After hours of heated discussion, the council reached another stalemate. In the end, they agreed to continue passive monitoring, leaving Earth untouched for the time being. Frustrated by the outcome, Nathan retreated to his quarters after the meeting. He stared out the wide viewport, watching the stars twinkle in the endless void of space. His thoughts kept returning to Laura Dawson's message. She had managed to contact him through encrypted channels, sharing her findings about the strange signals. Though her data was incomplete, it confirmed his worst fears. Someone or something out there was already watching Earth closely, and whoever it was didn't seem friendly. Determined to take action, Nathan decided to reach out to Laura directly. Using secure communication protocols, he sent her a brief but urgent message. "You've uncovered something important. Be careful. Humanity is in greater danger than you realize." He hoped his warning would prompt her to stay vigilant, even if the council refused to act. Back on Earth, Laura Dawson struggled to make sense of the situation. The mysterious transmission had consumed her every waking moment, yet she still couldn't decipher its full meaning. The phrase "warning issued," subject, Homo sapiens, haunted her. Who was issuing the warning, and to whom? Was it meant for the Galactic Council? Or was it a message intended for some other alien species? Ryan Murphy, her colleague at the observatory, noticed how obsessed she had become. "You're working yourself into the ground," he told her one evening as they reviewed new data together. "Whatever this signal is, it's probably just a natural phenomenon. You need to let it go." Laura shook her head stubbornly. "It's not natural," she insisted. "Someone sent it deliberately. I know it sounds crazy, but I think aliens are trying to warn us, or maybe warn others about us." Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Aliens? Come on, Laura. Even if they exist, why would they care about us? We're just one tiny planet in a huge galaxy." "I don't know why," Laura admitted, "but I can't ignore it. Something big is happening, Ryan. I can feel it." Her instincts proved correct sooner than she expected. Late one night, while analyzing fresh data from the observatory's telescopes, Laura detected another unusual signal. This one was different from the first. It wasn't a warning. It was a response. The signal originated from deep space, far beyond the reaches of Earth's solar system. Its content was complex, filled with mathematical patterns and symbols that defied easy interpretation. But one thing was clear: it was aimed directly at Earth. Laura's heart raced as she realized the implications. Someone, or something, was responding to humanity's presence. Whether it was friendly or hostile remained unclear, but one thing was certain: Earth was no longer invisible to the rest of the galaxy. Desperate to share her discovery, Laura contacted several scientific organizations, hoping to gain support for further investigation. To her dismay, most dismissed her claims as speculative or outright absurd. Without concrete evidence, her reports were ignored, buried under layers of skepticism and bureaucracy. Even Ryan began to distance himself from her, growing increasingly frustrated with her obsession. "You're chasing ghosts, Laura," he said during one heated argument. "There's no proof of any of this. You're going to ruin your career over a wild goose chase." Laura wanted to argue, to convince him that she was right, but the words caught in her throat. Deep down, she knew he might be partially correct. Without definitive proof, her claim sounded like science fiction. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was onto something monumental. As days turned into weeks, Laura grew more isolated, pouring all her energy into decoding the new signal. She worked tirelessly, often skipping meals and losing sleep, determined to uncover its secrets. Slowly but surely, fragments of the message began to reveal themselves. The patterns hinted at coordinates, a location somewhere near Saturn. Could it be a rendezvous point, a trap, or simply a coincidence? Before she could delve deeper, an unexpected event changed everything. News broke that a military unit had intercepted an unidentified object drifting near Saturn. Initial scans suggested it was of extraterrestrial origin, a derelict probe possibly abandoned by an alien civilization. The revelation sent shockwaves around the world, reigniting public interest in the possibility of alien life. Laura watched the news unfold with a mixture of excitement and dread. If the probe was indeed alien, it could provide the answers she desperately sought. But it also raised troubling questions. Why had it appeared now? And what did it mean for humanity's place in the universe? Unbeknownst to Laura, the probe's arrival marked the beginning of a chain reaction that would thrust Earth into the spotlight. Far beyond the solar system, the Galactic Council received word of the discovery. Keltor, the Varnock leader, voiced his concerns once again. "This confirms my earlier report," he said grimly. "Humans are interacting with alien technology much sooner than anticipated. We must intervene before things spiral out of control." Nathan listened intently, his stomach tightening with unease. He knew the Council's hesitation had only made matters worse. By ignoring Earth, they had allowed events to unfold unchecked. Now humanity stood on the brink of a crisis that could affect the entire galaxy. As tensions mounted, Nathan realized he had to act. He couldn't rely on the Council to protect Earth, not when their priorities lay elsewhere. Reaching out to Laura once again, he sent her another message. "Stay safe. Things are about to get complicated." Little did either of them know, the probe carried technology far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. When scientists attempted to study it, they inadvertently activated its systems, triggering a distress signal that echoed across the galaxy. Within hours, the signal reached the ears of a ruthless mercenary race known as the Krylos. Infamous for exploiting weaker species, the Krylos saw Earth as an opportunity for conquest. As chaos loomed on the horizon, Laura and Nathan found themselves at the center of a storm neither could have predicted. Humanity's quiet existence in the cosmos was over. The question now was whether they could rise to meet the challenges ahead, or fall victim to forces far beyond their understanding. The discovery of the alien probe near Saturn sent shockwaves through Earth's military and scientific communities. Captain Alex Hayes, a seasoned leader in the United Space Defense Force, was tasked with overseeing its recovery. His unit, known for handling high-risk operations, had been monitoring the object since it was first detected drifting silently in space. At first glance, the probe appeared to be nothing more than a hunk of metal, battered and scarred by centuries of travel through the void. But as Alex and his team approached it aboard their spacecraft, they realized it was far from ordinary. The probe's surface shimmered faintly, as if alive, and strange symbols etched into its exterior pulsed with an eerie glow. None of the scientists back on Earth could identify the material or decipher the markings. Despite the mystery surrounding it, orders came down from command. Bring the probe aboard for study. The decision was made quickly, without fully understanding the risks involved. No one suspected that the probe wasn't just a piece of abandoned technology. It was still active. Once inside the spacecraft, the team secured the probe in a containment chamber. Engineers began running tests, hoping to unlock its secrets. Laura Dawson followed the developments closely from her observatory, glued to news reports and official statements. She knew this was the moment she had been waiting for, the chance to prove that humanity was not alone in the universe. But as the days passed, her excitement turned to unease. Something about the probe didn't feel right. Back on the spacecraft, things started to go wrong. Strange energy spikes emanated from the containment chamber, causing equipment to malfunction. Alarms blared as systems shut down unexpectedly, plunging parts of the ship into darkness. Then, without warning, the probe activated. Its glowing symbols flared brightly, and a beam of light shot out, connecting to the ship's communication array. Before anyone could react, the probe transmitted a powerful signal deep into space. Alex and his crew scrambled to contain the situation, but it was too late. The signal had already reached its destination, wherever that was. Panic spread among the team as they realized what might happen next. If the probe belonged to an advanced alien species, its activation could have alerted them to Earth's location. And if those aliens were hostile, Humanity might be facing a threat unlike anything it had ever encountered. News of the incident leaked to the public almost immediately. Social media erupted with speculation, fear, and conspiracy theories. Governments around the world held emergency meetings, trying to decide how to respond. Some leaders called for transparency, urging scientists to share their findings openly. Others demanded secrecy, fearing mass hysteria if the truth came out. In the midst of the chaos, Laura received a call from Ryan Murphy, who sounded unusually serious. "They've brought the probe back to Earth," he told her. "They're setting up a research facility to study it, but no one knows what they're dealing with. You need to get involved." Laura hesitated. She had spent weeks analyzing signals from space, but this was different. This wasn't just data on a screen. It was tangible proof of alien life. If she stepped forward now, there would be no turning back. Still, something inside her pushed her to act. She couldn't sit idly by while others made decisions that could affect the entire planet. With Ryan's help, Laura managed to secure clearance to join the team studying the probe. When she arrived at the facility, she was struck by the tension in the air. Scientists worked tirelessly, their faces pale with exhaustion and anxiety. Military personnel stood guard at every entrance, weapons at the ready. It was clear that everyone understood the stakes. As Laura examined the probe, she noticed details that hadn't been reported in the news. The symbols on its surface seemed to shift and change, almost like they were alive. She ran scans using equipment borrowed from her observatory, hoping to uncover more information. What she found shocked her. The probe wasn't just a piece of alien technology. It was a reconnaissance device designed to gather intelligence about planets and civilizations. Worse still, it contained traces of advanced weaponry, far beyond anything humanity possessed. Laura shared her findings with the lead scientist, Dr. Emily Grant, a brilliant but cautious woman who had dedicated her career to astrobiology. Emily listened intently, her brow furrowed with concern. "If this thing is transmitting data back to whoever sent it, we could be in serious trouble," she said. "We need to figure out how to disable it before it causes any more damage." But disabling the probe proved easier said than done. Every attempt to interfere with its systems triggered defensive mechanisms, causing minor explosions and releasing bursts of energy. The team grew increasingly frustrated, knowing they were running out of time. Meanwhile, Alex Hayes remained on high alert, coordinating with military leaders to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Unbeknownst to anyone on Earth, the probe's signal had indeed reached its intended recipients. Far across the galaxy, the Krylos, a ruthless mercenary race, intercepted the transmission. Known for their brutal tactics and insatiable greed, the Krylos saw Earth as an opportunity too good to pass up. The planet's resources were abundant, and its inhabitants appeared weak and disorganized. To the Krylos, humanity was little more than prey. Kaltor, the Varnak leader, learned of the Krylos's interest in Earth shortly after the probe's activation. He immediately contacted the Galactic Council, urging them to intervene. "This is exactly what I warned you about," he said during an emergency session. "Humans have unintentionally drawn the attention of a dangerous species. If we don't act now, they will suffer the consequences." Nathan Brooks listened grimly, his worst fears confirmed. The Council's refusal to take Earth seriously had allowed events to spiral out of control. Now humanity faced an existential threat, and there was little the Council could do to stop it. Many members argued that Earth was outside their jurisdiction, citing the planet's lack of membership in the coalition. Others claimed intervening would set a dangerous precedent, encouraging other primitive species to rely on the Council for protection. Zira Len, however, sided with Nathan. "We cannot abandon them," she insisted. "If the Krylos attack, it will destabilize the region and threaten galactic peace. We must send aid, even if it means bending our own rules." After hours of heated debate, the Council agreed to a compromise. They would authorize limited assistance, providing covert support to Earth's defense efforts, but any direct intervention would require unanimous approval, a near impossibility given the Council's fractured nature. Nathan left the meeting feeling defeated, but determined. He knew the Council's help would only go so far. Humanity would have to fight for itself. Back on Earth, tensions continued to rise. Governments struggled to form a unified response, hindered by mistrust and political rivalries. Some nations advocated for preemptive strikes against potential invaders, while others called for diplomatic solutions. Public opinion was equally divided, with protests erupting in cities worldwide. Fear gripped the planet as people braced for the unknown. In the midst of the turmoil, Laura and Ryan worked tirelessly to decode the probe's systems. They discovered that the device contained blueprints for advanced technology, weapons, shields, and propulsion systems far beyond human capabilities. Though tempting, replicating the designs posed significant risks. Any attempt to harness the probe's power could trigger catastrophic consequences. Despite the dangers, Laura believed the technology could be humanity's only hope. She presented her findings to Alex Hayes, who reluctantly agreed to share them with military leaders. Together, they devised a plan to use the probe's data to develop rudimentary defenses capable of repelling Krylos attacks. Time was short, but the effort gave people a glimmer of hope. Meanwhile, Nathan reached out to Laura once again, sending her a cryptic message. "Prepare for visitors. Not all are enemies." Confused but intrigued, Laura wondered what he meant. Was the Galactic Council finally stepping in? Or was someone else coming to Earth's aid? Before she could find answers, reports emerged of unusual activity near Earth's orbit. Dozens of unidentified ships had entered the solar system, moving with precision and purpose. Were they friend or foe? No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain. Humanity's quiet existence in the cosmos was over. Whatever happened next would determine the fate of the planet, and perhaps the entire galaxy. The unidentified ships approaching Earth moved with a speed and grace that defied human understanding. Their sleek, metallic surfaces reflected the sunlight as they positioned themselves in orbit around the planet. At first, no one knew whether to fear or welcome them. Were these the Krylos coming to claim Earth's resources? Or were they allies sent by the Galactic Council to help humanity prepare for the inevitable battle? Laura Dawson watched the news unfold from her lab, her heart pounding. The military had gone on full alert, scrambling fighter jets and positioning ground forces near major cities. Scientists worked around the clock, trying to analyze the ship's movements and determine their intentions. Despite the chaos, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that Nathan Brooks's cryptic message, "Prepare for visitors, not all are enemies," held some truth. It wasn't long before communication was established. A single ship descended into Earth's atmosphere, landing gently in an open field outside Washington, D.C. Military personnel surrounded the craft, weapons drawn, as a hatch slowly opened. To everyone's surprise, the beings that emerged weren't the monstrous mercenaries Laura had imagined. Instead, they were tall, elegant creatures with shimmering skin and luminous eyes, the Zetherians led by Zeralyn herself. Zeralyn stepped forward, her voice calm but firm as she addressed the gathered humans through a translator device. "We come not as conquerors but as allies," she said. "Your actions have drawn the attention of dangerous forces. We offer our assistance in defending your world." The announcement stunned the crowd. For years, humanity had speculated about alien life, but few had expected their first encounter to happen under such dire circumstances. Still, the presence of the Zetherians offered a glimmer of hope. If the Galactic Council was willing to send aid, perhaps Earth stood a chance against the Krylos. Laura was among the scientists invited to meet with Zeralyn and her team. As she entered the makeshift command center set up near the landing site, she felt a mix of awe and anxiety. Zeralyn greeted her warmly, recognizing her role in decoding the alien probe systems. "Your work has been invaluable," the Zetherian leader said. "But time is short. The Krylos are already en route." With the Zetherians' arrival came a flood of information. They shared intelligence about the Krylos, describing them as ruthless predators who thrived on exploiting weaker species. The mercenaries traveled in massive fleets equipped with devastating weaponry, capable of obliterating entire planets. Worse still, They showed no mercy to those who resisted. "They will see your planet as easy prey," Ziralin warned. "But you have one advantage: unpredictability. Use it wisely." Under the guidance of the Zetherians, humanity began preparing for war. Engineers worked tirelessly to adapt the technology extracted from the alien probe, creating rudimentary defense systems that could withstand Krylos attacks. Fighter jets were retrofitted with experimental weapons, and ground forces trained to combat advanced alien threats. It was a race against time, and every second counted. Meanwhile, Alex Hayes coordinated efforts between military units across the globe. His experience and leadership proved invaluable as nations put aside their differences to form the Global Defense Initiative, GDI. For the first time in history, humanity united under a common cause, driven by the shared goal of survival. Mayo Carter, a charismatic diplomat known for brokering peace during international crises, played a crucial role in building alliances. She traveled the world, meeting with leaders and convincing them to cooperate despite long-standing rivalries. Her speeches inspired millions, reminding people that their strength lay in unity. "We are one species, one planet," she declared, during a televised address. "If we stand together, we can overcome anything, even the stars themselves." As preparations continued, Nathan Brooks worked behind the scenes to rally additional support from the Galactic Council. Though many members remained hesitant to intervene directly, he managed to secure promises of covert aid from sympathetic species. Supplies, intelligence, and even small contingents of soldiers began arriving on Earth, bolstering humanity's defenses. Laura and Ryan focused their efforts on improving Earth's technology. Using the probe's blueprints, they developed a prototype weapon capable of disrupting Krylos shields, a breakthrough that could turn the tide of the battle. The process was fraught with challenges, and progress came slowly, but their determination never wavered. Late nights turned into early mornings as they tested and refined their designs, knowing that failure was not an option. Despite the growing sense of hope, fear lingered in the air. People stockpiled supplies, evacuated cities, and prepared for the worst. News outlets broadcast constant updates, fueling both panic and resilience. Parents hugged their children tighter, neighbors helped each other fortify homes, and strangers exchanged nervous smiles in grocery store aisles. Humanity was scared, but it was also ready to fight. Then the day arrived. Scanners detected a massive fleet entering the solar system, hundreds of ships, each bristling with weapons. The Krylos had come. Their flagship loomed above Earth like a shadow, its sheer size dwarfing everything below. Smaller vessels detached from the main fleet, descending toward key targets, major cities, military bases, and industrial hubs. Chaos erupted as explosions lit up the sky, and the sound of roaring engines filled the air. The invasion had begun. Alex Hayes took command of a squadron tasked with infiltrating the Krylos flagship. Piloting a modified fighter jet armed with the experimental weapon Laura and Ryan had developed, he led his team into the heart of the enemy fleet. The mission was risky, bordering on suicidal, but success meant disabling the flagship's main weapon, a cannon capable of annihilating entire continents. Back on the ground, Laura monitored the battle from the command center, her hands trembling, as she relayed real-time data to Alex and his team. Ryan stayed by her side, offering quiet encouragement. "You did everything you could," he said. "Now it's up to them." The fight in space was fierce. Human pilots clashed with Krylos, drones, their outdated aircraft struggling to keep pace with the aliens' superior technology. But what humanity lacked in firepower, it made up for in ingenuity. Pilots used unpredictable maneuvers to outwit their opponents, dodging blasts and striking back with precision. Slowly but surely, they carved a path toward the flagship. Inside the enemy vessel, Alex and his team faced overwhelming odds. Corridors teemed with Krylos soldiers, their insectoid bodies armored and menacing. Every step forward came at a cost, as comrades fell one by one. Yet Alex pressed on, driven by the knowledge that failure meant extinction for his species. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Alex reached the control room housing the flagship's main weapon. With seconds to spare, he activated the experimental device, unleashing a pulse of energy that disrupted the ship's systems. The cannon powered down just as it was about to fire, sparing Earth from devastation. The victory came at a price. Dozens of pilots and soldiers lost their lives, and cities across the globe lay in ruins. But the Krylos fleet began to retreat, their flagship crippled and their plans thwarted. Humanity had won, for now. As the dust settled, Laura gazed at the stars, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. The battle had proven humanity's resilience, but it had also revealed how fragile their position in the galaxy truly was. Nathan Brooks joined her later that night, his expression weary but hopeful. "You've earned your place among the stars," he said softly. "But this is only the beginning." For the first time in history, humanity stood shoulder to shoulder with alien species, united in purpose and resolve. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but one thing was clear: Earth was no longer alone, and it never would be again. The victory over the Krylos fleet was bittersweet. Earth's skies were quiet once more, but the scars of battle remained etched across the planet. Cities lay in ruins, their streets littered with debris and smoke still rising from crumbled buildings. Hospitals overflowed with wounded soldiers and civilians, while makeshift memorials sprang up to honor those who had lost their lives. The cost of survival had been high, but humanity had proven something crucial, not just to themselves but to the galaxy. They were capable of standing against even the most formidable foes. In the aftermath of the battle, Laura Dawson stood on the roof of the command center staring at the horizon. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and red. It should have been beautiful, but all she could think about was the devastation below. She felt a mix of pride and sorrow. Humanity had fought valiantly, but the war wasn't over yet. Somewhere out there beyond the stars, the Krylos were regrouping, and next time they might bring reinforcements. Ryan Murphy joined her after a while, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Laura without saying a word. They sipped in silence, watching as emergency vehicles raced through the streets far below. "We did it," Ryan finally said, his voice soft. "Against all odds, we actually did it." Laura nodded slowly. "For now," she replied. "But this isn't the end. The Krylos won't give up that easily. And if other species find out how vulnerable we are..." Ryan sighed, leaning against the railing. "You're right. This changes everything. We can't go back to pretending we're alone in the universe anymore." Inside the command center, Alex Hayes debriefed his surviving team members. His face was pale with exhaustion, dark circles underlining his eyes. The mission to infiltrate the Krylos flagship had taken its toll, both physically and emotionally. Many of his closest comrades hadn't made it back alive. Still, he forced himself to remain composed, knowing his people needed strength now more than ever. "You all did your duty," Alex told them, his voice steady despite the weight of his emotions. "Because of you, billions of lives were saved today. But remember this, we're not done fighting. If we let our guard down, the Krylos will come back stronger. So rest tonight, grieve tomorrow, and then get ready for whatever comes next." His words resonated deeply. Everyone in the room understood the stakes. Survival wasn't just about winning battles. It was about staying vigilant, adapting, and preparing for future threats. For the first time in history, humanity faced challenges, not just from within their own world, but from the vastness of space itself. Meanwhile, Nathan Brooks worked tirelessly to secure additional support from the Galactic Council. Though many members still viewed Earth as a minor concern, Ziralan's actions had inspired others to reconsider. A small coalition of sympathetic species agreed to provide ongoing aid, including advanced technology, medical supplies, and tactical training. Their contributions wouldn't solve all of humanity's problems, but they offered a lifeline during a critical time. Nathan also pushed for provisional membership in the Galactic Council, arguing that humanity deserved a seat at the table. "They've proven their worth," he told the assembly during a heated debate. They may be young and inexperienced, but they've shown courage and determination. Excluding them only leaves them vulnerable, and ignorance is dangerous for everyone. The council deliberated for days, weighing the pros and cons of admitting such an unpredictable species into their ranks. In the end, they reached a compromise. Earth would be granted observer status, allowing humans to participate in discussions but not vote on major decisions. It wasn't full membership, but it was a start, and it marked the beginning of humanity's integration into galactic society. Backs. On Earth, Mia Carter played a pivotal role in rebuilding shattered alliances and fostering global unity. Her diplomatic skills helped bridge divides between nations, ensuring that cooperation continued even after the immediate threat had passed. She organized summits where leaders from around the world came together to discuss long-term strategies for defense and exploration. Slowly but surely, humanity began to envision a future where they weren't just survivors, but explorers. Laura and Ryan returned to their observatory, determined to continue unraveling the mysteries of the alien probe. With the help of Zytherian engineers, they refined the prototype weapon they had developed, making it more efficient and easier to produce. They also discovered new applications for the probe's technology, including energy sources that could revolutionize Earth's infrastructure. Each breakthrough brought them closer to understanding the true potential of what they had uncovered. One evening, as Laura analyzed fresh data, she stumbled upon something unexpected. Hidden within the probe's systems was a fragment of code, a message unlike anything she had seen before. Unlike the earlier warning or the distress signal, this one seemed personal. It contained coordinates pointing to a distant star system, along with a single phrase: "Seek truth." Laura stared at the screen, her heart racing. What did it mean? Was it an invitation, a challenge, or something else entirely? She shared her findings with Ryan, who frowned thoughtfully. It could be a trap, he cautioned. Whoever left, this message might not have good intentions. Or it could be our chance to learn more, Laura countered. If we stay here, hiding and waiting for the next attack, we'll never grow stronger. We need answers, and maybe this is where we'll find them. After much deliberation, Laura decided to present her discovery to the Global Defense Initiative. Alex Hayes listened intently, his brow furrowed with concern. It's risky, he admitted. But sitting on our hands isn't going to protect us either. If these coordinates lead to something important, information, allies, or even technology, it could make all the difference. With cautious approval from GDI leadership, preparations began for a reconnaissance mission. A small crew led by Alex would travel to the specified location using a modified spacecraft, equipped with the latest advancements derived from the probe's technology. Laura insisted on joining the team, unwilling to leave the mission solely in military hands. Ryan reluctantly stayed behind, promising to keep working on decoding any further messages hidden within the probe. As the spacecraft launched into orbit, Laura gazed out the window at Earth growing smaller beneath them. Despite the uncertainty ahead, she felt a spark of hope. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger. Now they were stepping boldly into the unknown, driven by curiosity and the desire to carve out their place among the stars. Far away, in the chambers of the Galactic Council, Nathan watched footage of the launch with a mixture of pride and apprehension. He knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but he believed in humanity's potential. Turning to Zeralin, he smiled faintly. They're ready, he said. No matter what happens next, they'll keep moving forward. Zeralin nodded, her luminous eyes reflecting the same quiet confidence. Perhaps they will teach us something, she mused. Courage, resilience, these are qualities worth admiring. And so, humanity embarked on its next chapter, a journey filled with promise and peril, guided by the lessons learned from their first encounter with the cosmos. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but one thing was certain: Earth's story was just beginning. The journey to the distant star system was long and tense. The spacecraft carrying Alex Hayes, Laura Dawson, and their small crew traveled through the vast emptiness of space, guided by the coordinates hidden within the alien probe. For days, they scanned the horizon for signs of life or activity, but all they saw were endless fields of stars and drifting asteroids. Despite the silence around them, the atmosphere aboard the ship was electric with anticipation. Each member of the team knew that whatever awaited them at their destination could change everything, for better or worse. Laura spent most of her time analyzing data from the probe, searching for any additional clues about the message they had uncovered. She worked tirelessly, her mind racing with possibilities. Was this a trap set by the Krylos? Or perhaps an opportunity left behind by the probe's creators, a chance to learn more about the technology that had saved Earth? Whatever it was, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Alex, on the other hand, focused on keeping the crew prepared for anything. He ran drills regularly, ensuring everyone knew how to respond in case of an emergency. Though he tried to project calm confidence, even he felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. This mission wasn't just about exploration, it was about survival. If they failed, humanity might never recover. Finally, after weeks of travel, the coordinates led them to a massive structure floating silently in space. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Part machine, part organism, its surface shimmered with iridescent colors that shifted as they approached. The object resembled a colossal sphere, dotted with glowing nodes that pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. It gave off no signs of hostility, but its sheer size and complexity made it clear that it was far beyond human understanding. "This is it," Laura whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "Whatever we're looking for, it's here." The team carefully maneuvered the spacecraft closer, scanning the structure for entry points. After several hours of searching, they discovered what appeared to be a portal etched into the sphere's surface. When activated, it emitted a soft hum and opened wide enough for the spacecraft to pass through. With cautious optimism, Alex gave the order to proceed. Inside, the environment was surreal. They found themselves in a vast chamber filled with floating platforms, each displaying intricate holograms and streams of data. The air was warm and tinged with a faint metallic scent, and the walls seemed to breathe, pulsing gently as if alive. Laura immediately recognized patterns similar to those on the probe, confirming her suspicion that this place was connected to its creators. As they explored further, they encountered a figure, a being unlike any they had imagined. Its form was fluid, constantly shifting between solid and translucent states, and its presence radiated intelligence and curiosity rather than malice. Through a combination of gestures and telepathic communication, the entity introduced itself, not as an individual, but as a collective consciousness representing the species that had created the probe. "We have been waiting," the being communicated, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "Your kind has shown great potential, though your actions remain unpredictable." Laura stepped forward hesitantly, her heart pounding. "Why did you send the probe?" she asked, her words translated seamlessly by the entity. "And what do you want from us?" The being paused before responding, as if considering its answer. "The probe was not sent to harm you, but to observe. We sought to understand your species, to determine whether you posed a threat to yourselves or others. Your recent conflict has answered some questions, but many remain." Alex frowned, stepping beside Laura. "If you wanted to study us, why didn't you contact us directly? Why leave warnings and cryptic messages?" "Contact carries risks," the entity explained. "Your history shows a pattern of fear and violence when confronted with the unknown. We chose observation to avoid provoking unnecessary hostility. However, your encounter with the Krylos altered the balance. Now, choices must be made." Laura exchanged a glance with Alex, both of them sensing the gravity of the moment. "What kind of choices?" she pressed. "You stand at a crossroads," the being continued. "You may continue down your current path, relying on fragments of knowledge and risking destruction. Or you may choose to embrace unity, with yourselves and with others across the galaxy. The technology you have begun to harness holds immense power, but also danger. Use it wisely. Before they could ask more questions, the entity gestured toward one of the platforms. A hologram appeared, showing images of advanced civilizations working together, sharing knowledge and resources to build a peaceful coexistence. Then the scene shifted, depicting worlds consumed by war and greed, their populations wiped out due to mistrust and selfishness. "These are the paths before you," the being said. "Choose wisely, for your decisions will shape not only your future but the fate of countless others." With that, the entity began to fade, leaving the team alone in the chamber. The portal reappeared, signaling their time here was over. As though they returned to the spacecraft, Laura and Alex were silent, each lost in thought. What the entity had shown them wasn't just advice, it was a challenge. Humanity now faced a decision: to grow beyond its divisions and fears, or risk falling into the same cycles of destruction that had doomed so many others. Back on Earth, news of the mission spread quickly. While the details remained classified, the public celebrated the safe return of the crew and speculated about what they had discovered. Governments and scientists alike debated the implications of the encounter, recognizing that humanity's place in the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Nathan Brooks addressed the Galactic Council once again, this time with renewed confidence. "Humanity has proven not only its resilience but its willingness to adapt and cooperate," he declared. "They are ready to take their place among the stars. Denying them that opportunity would be a mistake for all of us." Though resistance lingered, the Council ultimately agreed to grant Earth provisional membership. It was a historic moment, marking the first step toward full integration into galactic society. Humanity was no longer an isolated species. It was part of something much larger. Months later, Laura stood on a hill outside her observatory, gazing at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter now, filled with promise rather than mystery. Ryan joined her, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Do you think we'll ever really understand all of this?" he asked, nodding toward the heavens. Laura smiled softly. "Probably not completely, but I think that's okay. There's always more to learn, more to discover. That's what makes it exciting." Ryan chuckled, handing her a cup. "Well, I guess we'd better get back to work then." As they walked back inside, Laura felt a deep sense of purpose. Humanity had faced its greatest trial and emerged stronger, not because of superior weapons or technology, but because of courage, curiosity, and the determination to survive. The road ahead would be challenging, but it was also filled with endless possibilities. For the first time, Earth looked outward instead of inward, ready to carve its destiny among the stars. And though dangers still lurked in the vastness of space, humanity knew one thing for certain: they were no longer alone, and they never would be again.